Welcome to Understanding Employer Rules and Policies about Discrimination and Harassment, Part 2, Module 6. In this lesson, you will learn about 3 laws about discrimination and harassment, including the Immigration and Reform Control Act, the Americans with Disabilities Act, and the Family and Medical Leave Act. You will also learn how each of these laws protects you as an employee. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was honored with many prizes and awards, including the Nobel Peace Prize, as a result of his message of peace and nonviolence in his work towards equal rights for each individual. More than 50 years after his death, his inspirational legacy lives on as people around the world choose to stand up for themselves and for the rights of others. As we go through this module on discrimination and harassment, let's keep these words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in mind. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. In the United States of America, there are laws, regulations, and standards that every company has to obey to stay in business. Some laws were passed to protect workers from discrimination and encourage diversity in the workforce, and others were passed to provide help and temporary assistance for certain life-changing events. It is important that you know and understand these laws so you recognize the rights you have, including your right to work in a place which provides equal opportunities for all and is free from discrimination, harassment, and retaliation. The 3 laws summarized in this lesson affect you both as an individual and as an employee. The Immigration and Reform Control Act of 1986 is a federal law that preserves jobs for those who are legally entitled to them. This law requires employers to check each employee's identity and employment status and makes it illegal to knowingly hire or recruit undocumented immigrants. Here is a scenario illustrating the Immigration and Reform Control Act. During the job application process, Raul was asked if he's authorized to work in the United States of America. Raul was offended the employer asked him that and felt he was being stereotyped and discriminated against. Was the employer discriminating against Raul by asking that question? Or was that employer legally allowed to insist Raul provide documentation proving his eligibility to work? The truth is, the employer did not break the law by asking if Raul was authorized to work. In fact, since it is against the law for an employer to hire or recruit someone who is undocumented, anyone applying for a job in this country must provide documents proving their identity and their eligibility to work. The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 is a federal civil rights law that forbids discrimination against individuals with disabilities in all areas of public life, including jobs, schools, transportation, and all public and private places that are open to the public. This law makes sure that people with disabilities have the same rights and opportunities as everyone else. Here are scenarios illustrating how the Americans with Disabilities Act protects employees like John and Susan. John is a person with a physical disability who lives a full and independent life with a prosthetic leg. He applied for a job at a local grocery store, confident that his skills and previous experience qualified him for the job. John went through the expected interview process, was given a tour of the store, and completed the mandatory drug test. However, he was not hired. He later found out the reason he was not hired was because of his physical disability. The grocery store broke the law. Susan is a person with a spinal cord injury who uses a wheelchair. Her new job has a wheelchair-accessible ramp to the entrance, an elevator inside the building, doors she can easily fit through, and a desk at just the right height. Accommodations like these, and more, are made by employers in accordance with this law. The Family and Medical Leave Act of 1993 is a federal law requiring covered employers to provide employees with unpaid job-protected leave for specific family and medical reasons, such as personal or family illness, military leave, pregnancy, adoption, or the foster care placement of a child. During this type of leave, employers need to continue the employee's group health insurance coverage under the same terms and conditions as if the employee was still working. Here are scenarios illustrating how the Family and Medical Leave Act protects employees like Jolene and Rosina. Jolene is pregnant and wants to take 8 weeks off when the baby is born. She is worried, though, that her employer might say she can't have that much time away from work, or that they will just fire her instead. Jolene is entitled to time off because of the Family and Medical Leave Act, and that law says she doesn't need to be afraid of losing her job. Rosina works as an assistant manager of a busy restaurant. She took a 3-week unpaid leave of absence from her job because she needed to care for her mother, who was injured in a car crash. When Rosina was ready to come back to work, the supervisor told Rosina she was being demoted to server because she obviously didn't care enough about the restaurant. The Family and Medical Leave Act says Rosina's job is protected while she is on leave. Her supervisor broke the law. Now that you have completed Module 6, please complete the recommended follow-up activity with your YES Career Counselor.